Hi, this is Larry Stewart with ForConstructionPros.com. We're at World of Concrete the day before the show opens with Ed Sullivan, who's chief economist with the Portland Cement Association. And Ed, this is always the much-awaited moment at World of Concrete when we get to hear about what PCA is expecting for the coming year. Why don't you give us the top-line details on the forecast for 2014?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I can tell you I am more optimistic this year, 2014, than I have been in years. The economy is poised to have a much stronger growth rate. Residential is going to get even stronger. We see non-residential also adding, and maybe a little bit of a different wrinkle for 2013. We're going to start to see more contribution at the state and local level, adding to public programs. So when you look at this, last year we grew at 4.5%. We're looking at over 8% growth for 2014.
Wow.
And here's the thing, is PCA tends to be very conservative in our outlook. And we've made certain assumptions that we think are conservative. Residential, that's going to account for 50% of the growth that we have for this year.
Wow.
Our forecasts are for 1.1 million housing starts. You compare that against other construction companies and analysts, and they'll tell you it could be as high as 1.5 or 1.4. Moody Analytics, one of the most revered economic forecasting groups in the world, they have it at 1.4 million units. Mm-hmm. If you take that extra difference, our 1.1 to their 1.4, that takes the growth rate for cement consumption from 8% this year to 16%.
Oh my gosh.
It's doubling. So my point here is that even though we're very optimistic, there's upside potential to our outlook.
Well, the housing market in particular, since you mentioned that, has been, has certainly grown year over year dramatically, but in the last few months has been kind of up and down. What's the outlook for the driver that's going to take housing to the next level?
If you look at the last 3 months in housing starts, it's the first time since 2008 we've averaged in excess of 1 million units on a seasonally adjusted annual rate.
Right.
So that's not bad. December was weak. We're accounting that to weather. Mm-hmm. So as we get in, and keep in mind the key months are as we get into the spring, you're going to get, in our mind, stronger economic conditions that support stronger sales, and you'll start to see even more acceleration in terms of the housing starts.
Okay. Well, the government side seems to be, I mean, for all intents and purposes, for us laymen at least, looks like a lot of downside with the budgeting issues and that sort of thing. What's the driver for increasing in government investment?
I think people get carried away when they talk about government. They focus singularly at federal government. And keep in mind, in terms of construction spending, most of it's happening at the state and local levels. State and local governments have gone through a terrible time. But you know what? As you add jobs, as you add workers, you add taxpayers, and state revenues come back in the context of cuts. And now they're looking at projects that they have delayed over the years and postponed, such as roads. And you start to see the recovery. They'll record surpluses this year for the first time in quite some time. They'll also look at what they have pushed off to the side, and our guess is that they will accelerate their public spending on the state and local levels.
What are the bright spots right now in state revenue collection? I mean, what are the things that are saying, we're convinced that this is going to spread to the rest of the states?
Well, you have job creation. That's the key thing.
Okay.
With job creation, you get stronger consumer spending. Now you have the sales tax revenue coming in. At the local level, you've seen property values increase. Property value increases, now you get higher assessments, property taxes start to rise. There are certain lags to this and when they start clicking in. But keep in mind, property values have been increasing now for almost 2 years. You're going to start to see those revenues even at the local level. So you do see it in many different fronts, the revenues starting to rise and what have you at both the state and a local level. The National Association of State Budget Officers are surprised at the growth that they've seen in revenues over the last 6 months. We expect that to continue into 2014, and that will also translate into increased spending, hopefully on construction.